and miracles. Elijah's first significant act as a prophet marked a dramatic entrance into his prophetic ministry. He boldly confronted King Ahab, the ruler of Israel, with a dire proclamation: there would be no dew or rain in the land except by his word. This declaration was not merely an announcement of a natural disaster, but a direct challenge to the prevailing worship of Baal, the Canaanite god who many believe controlled fertility and the weather. Elijah's message was clear: Baal was powerless, and the true God of Israel held authority over the natural elements. As the drought set in, the consequences of this divine judgment became evident. The land grew parched, crops withered, and the people began to suffer under the weight of a relentless famine. In the midst of this desolation, God's provision for Elijah became a powerful testimony of his care for those who served him. God instructed Elijah to hide near the brook Cherith, east of the Jordan River. Here, in the wilderness, God demonstrated his sovereignty and miraculous power by commanding ravens to bring Elijah food, bread and meat, twice a day. The brook provided him with water, ensuring his survival despite the harsh conditions surrounding him. However, as the drought persisted, even the brook Cherith dried up. God's provision did not waver, and he directed Elijah to move to Zarephath, a town in the region of Sidon, outside of Israelite territory. Here, Elijah encountered a widow gathering sticks at the town gate. Despite the widow's dire circumstances, she was preparing what she believed would be her last meal for herself and her son before succumbing to starvation. Elijah, following God's command, asked her for water and a piece of bread. The widow, though initially hesitant, obeyed Elijah's request after he assured her that God would provide. In a miraculous demonstration of God's faithfulness, the widow's jar of flour and jug of oil did not run out throughout the drought. Each day, there was enough to sustain Elijah, the widow, and her son, illustrating God's ability to provide abundantly in times of scarcity. This miracle not only sustained them physically, but also deepened the widow's faith in the God of Israel. During Elijah's stay in Zarephath, tragedy struck the widow's household. Her son fell ill and died, plunging her into despair. In her grief, she questioned Elijah, believing that his presence had brought this calamity upon her. Elijah, moved by compassion and faith, took the boy from her arms, carried him to the upper room where he was staying, and laid him on his bed. He then cried out to God, asking for the boy's life to be restored. Stretching himself out on the child 3 times, Elijah fervently prayed for God to bring the boy back to life. God heard Elijah's prayer, and the boy's life returned to him. Elijah carried the living child back to his mother, presenting him to her alive and well. This act of raising the widow's son from the dead was a profound demonstration of God's power over life and death, solidifying Elijah's role as a true prophet of the living God. The widow, overwhelmed with gratitude and awe, declared her belief in Elijah's God, affirming that Elijah was indeed a man of God, and that the word of the Lord from his mouth was the truth. Elijah's early ministry, marked by these dramatic events, underscored the power and provision of God in the face of widespread idolatry and disbelief. Through the drought, the miraculous provision, and the raising of the widow's son, God revealed his authority over nature, his faithfulness to his servants, and his power over life itself. These acts set the stage for Elijah's continued mission to call Israel back to the worship of the one true God.